Right now, really happy to have our next guest back on the air with us.
Yeah, Brian, here are some words that I can't remember saying in a long time. I'm really looking forward to watching CNN tonight because it will be the debut of Jake Tapper Reports, the documentary. It's called An American Hero, The Uncommon Valor of Clint Romesha. That's going to air tonight at 10 p.m. Joining us now, the anchor and chief Washington correspondent for CNN, Jake Tapper. Jake, thanks for joining us.
Congratulations,
Larry
by the way.
Brian, it's great to be here. Thanks for having me.
Tell us a little bit about tonight's documentary. Is this sort of an extension of your book that you debuted earlier this, The Outpost?
That's right. I mean, I wrote this book, The Outpost, which is about this one combat outpost in a remote corner of Afghanistan, just to tell us the history of the outpost, who the men were who served there, and then ultimately there was this horrific attack on the outpost in October 2009. And Clint Romesha, I've known now since 2010, since reporting this book and writing it. So I was among those who were incredibly thrilled when a few weeks ago President Obama announced he was going to be awarding Clint the Medal of Honor, and that will be on Monday. I started on CNN a few weeks ago, and like 3 days after I started, I flew out to North Dakota to interview Clint for this special. CNN did not know at the time that I was going to be doing an hour-long special. I kind of forced them to do it, but Clint was such a great interview, and the story is so compelling. I was able to prevail, and he's just a remarkable guy, very, very humble.
Well.
And the story is moving and dramatic, but ultimately, I think what gets me and what will get viewers is you'll be proud to know that we have men and women like this serving in our military. They really are the best of the best.
Well, I want to hear more about Clint Romesha and what happened on October 3rd of 2009 that puts him in a position to be awarded the Medal of Honor.
It was a completely hopeless situation. You have this outpost put at the bottom of 3 steep mountains. And it was not fortified the way it needed to be. There were only 53 U.S. troops there. And at dawn on October 3rd, 2009, about 400 Taliban,
wow,
all of whom had the high ground, attacked the camp. It was a ferocious attack with mortars, bullets, rockets. It was a very, very well-planned and well-coordinated attack. I think some people in this country think of the Taliban as, primitive caveman types, but that's whatever you think of their ideology. They are brilliant fighters in many ways, and they targeted all the places that they needed to target. They went after the places like the mortar pit where the guns exist that can get up high in the mountains. They went after that area so that they basically made them impossible to use. 8 Americans were killed that day. It could have been much, much worse, but in the middle of this fight, you have some heroes being forged, and Clint's not the only one, but he certainly stands out. He led a group of men to take back the camp, even after the Taliban had gotten into the camp and were taking control of the camp. He ran right into not just the line of fire, but places where other soldiers had been killed just minutes before. And because of his leadership, his men say they're alive today. And he is what's, I think, most moving about his story is how humble he is. He's Mormon. He's from northeastern California. He comes from a family of service. His grandfather served in World War II. His dad in Vietnam. His older 2 brothers are in the service as well. And for him, he says, this is just a job. And he did what he needed to do, and he talks about all the other men who served under him. He talks about the men who did not come home that day. And because I know him, and he trusts me, it ended up being, even though he's a fairly laconic guy and fairly reserved, he was very, very open and candid and emotional at times. And I'm just, I'm proud to know him. And
I can't wait to see this thing.
Yeah, it sounds great. Hey, Jake Tapper, of course, is our guest, and, listen, over the last 4 years, you really stood out as one of the best White House correspondents in terms of the very pointed and and sometimes tough questions to Jay Carney and to the President in your role as White House correspondent for ABC News. Now that you're at CNN, I'm going to give you a chance now. You've been there a month. Time to suck up to the boss. Tell me about what it's like to be at CNN, where they're carving out a primetime hour for you tonight at 10 p.m. to do your documentary. It's different at a cable news network compared to when you were at ABC News, where they had the constraints of prime time and the entertainment division, right?
Yeah, I mean, look, ABC is a great organization, and I really loved every minute that I worked there. I was there for almost a decade. I came to CNN because they're going to be giving me my own show sometime in the next few months, and I'm sure I'll be back to talk to you guys about that closer to launch date. But yeah, I mean, obviously, as a 24-hour news organization, you have the ability to do an hour-long documentary on a Medal of Honor winner. That is something that probably would not appear on network television, not to single out ABC, but just because of the commercial constraints. They're not gonna bump an hour-long series to do a documentary. It's very rare that happens.
Well, and your role at CNN is as a Washington correspondent, so I have to ask you, here we are a few weeks into the president's second term, and it's kind of, it's sort of volatile already, what with the gun issue and with the Hagel nomination and various other debates going on here in the Beltway. What's your take on things right now?
I mean, I think volatile is a good word for it. I think you're right, and I think there's going to be a lot of this is going to be a more aggressive, more confrontational White House. It seems to me. In the initial few years, there was an effort, even if the resulting legislation didn't always make it obvious. There was an effort to work across the aisle, and I think that there's still a desire, but I think right now the White House has decided, and President Obama has decided, that Republicans are not going to cooperate with him willingly. So he needs to force them to do so. So I mean, I think it's a much more confrontational attitude.
Well, Jake, I want to just say that we always appreciated when you were at ABC how often you came on our program, and you always brought an interesting perspective. Now that you're at CNN, congratulations on the new gig. I mean, to be an anchor and a chief Washington correspondent at CNN, that's a big deal. I just want to ask you, and I'm going to do it publicly because I want to put you on the record, will you come back? Because we always enjoy having you.
Oh, I love doing your guys' show. Anytime. Seriously, let me know and let our people know, and we'll set it up. And it's always a lot of fun.
Well, we'll have our people call his people.
Right, and so joining us, tune in tomorrow. Jake Tapper will do his daily hit with us.
Thanks, Jake.
Not go crazy.
Congratulations, and I really look forward to seeing this special on CNN.
Thanks so much, guys.